pledge allegiance and join us if you choose. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk would call the roll, please.
Haviston,
Here.
Finley here, Lewis, Blinky,
Here.
McGill, Seacrest,
Here.
Schwartz,
Here.
the quorum.
Okay, that takes us to approval of the agenda. Again, section of the agenda. Are there any changes? Lisa, you-
In May's meeting, we pulled out
The remodeling of fire station number 2. Are we discussing that in this meeting? Because it wasn't in.
Talk to the chief about
Oh,
that.
okay.
Ken nor Dan communicated with the chief of what we were looking for. So if he's bringing back the same thing to the table, then that still won't work. He's bringing back, it's never been approved. This is not for discussion.
Okay, any additions?
Yes, I have one. I'd like to or recommend that we not have the audit report tonight. That's a lot of information. I was looking at it. There's information and an analysis on the escrow accounts and all the problems that were cited. I think that it would be fiscally responsible for us to really read the audit report, read the letters that Mr. Polka sent to us, and maybe have a separate working session to review it with the controller. And I don't know if is the controller online?
It should be.
And it's really important that the controller be present.
absolutely
Because
right.
there were some changes to GASB last year that the controller cited in his report, which changed some of the there were journal entries that had to be made at the last minute, and I'd like to hear more about that rather than just going over this here tonight.
Yes, he was. And based on the fact that he's not here, Ken, we really can't continue. Keith's not even online.
Should need them, but you.
We need him.
There are a lot of.
We need him.
questions. I think it just would be,
How could you not need him?
Can't give a brief and come back.
Doesn't make sense to do that.
and there were things that were missing out of the escrow of review that I think it would be good to just write to Ken so that we can talk about that before we actually go over it.
Yeah, not having the audit presentation tonight, but deferring it to either a special work session or to July.
Support.
You got to speak into the mic.
I support. We need a motion.
I think we need.
I move that we have a special meeting to discuss and settle this audit report.
Support. No,
He moved.
she didn't make the motion.
He moved it.
I
Yeah.
just moved.
Yes. And I supported it.
All in favor of this, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Again, sorry.
I just need to mention, report needs to be to the state by June 30th. However, we can, if the board comes up with changes we want to see in the report, we can take the thing.
Well, it's the 17th. We're gonna have a special meeting on it, so it'll probably be next week. Before the end of the month, if you're available. Is that all right?
Give you a shout or give a shout. Lynette.
I'll reach out to you.
Talk to you about. If we'll coordinate it with you.
Really make sure the controller is aware.
And also our bookkeeper. They both should be available.
Okay.
Okay, one other change. I'd like to add a communication that was received to the board from a resident in Tanglewood regarding extending the Plymouth Road pathway to Tanglewood, if we could just discuss that a little. Oh, hi. And I saw you walking on the road with your family.
Okay,
I would just say, I think his name is
Oh, it's in there.
Ryan Eaton,
You could-
Ryan Eaton, yes. ETON. The communication was in your board book toward the end.
Okay, I guess I saw it.
Fine, I think we can add that. Then I'd like to add the 2024 Superior Township Agreement with the Road Commission. It's in our last week. We should put it on tonight and discuss it or approve it tonight, or at least approve it part. Because we're at the tail end of the season for contracting with the
Mhm.
contractors. I
Mhm.
don't want things to slip that we have to go to next year. To get the new stuff. So, is there any objection to adding on the span and road commission concept?
Or,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so any other recommendation? Move on to, citizen participation. Is every time that, citizens can participate. We have 3 minutes. We have a timekeeper. You just identify who you are and where you live. You don't have to give us the numbers you have.
Hi, David Ray, I live over. I just wanted to say, just for everybody, if you all just not speaking from a little bit louder, we can't, everybody. Yeah, well, I don't think this is all. There we go. I'll repeat briefly, just to make sure we all speaking into the mic because everybody in the audience can't hear. Thank you.
Dana, I didn't hear that.
I'm like, she's still have 2 minutes.
I'm Ramona Parker Hayden, and full transparency, I'm a candidate for the office of treasurer of Superior Township. And I was glad to hear that the audit is being moved back, but I have a couple of questions because that was kind of what I was looking at. Because I'm currently a chief financial officer for an organization, so I immediately went to the audit. And since you are having a different meeting, will the public be invited to that meeting?
it's a special, it will be a special meeting, not a closed session meeting.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, just want to clarify that, because I have some concerns that I like to get addressed in there. I want to know how many adjusting journal entries were done and what were those entries? And I found it interesting that when the auditors were told there was a written escrow policy, but when they requested to see it, no policy could be produced. That goes back to trust and transparency, or lack thereof. And then the controller's report referenced that the auditors did not inform the township of a change in the GASB rules. My question is, why are they still our auditors? If that was a change that impacted the way this body governs, you have a fiduciary responsibility with my money and the money of everybody sitting here. So you've had the same auditor for over 20 years. The standard is to change auditors every 3 years. So I need some clarification on that. Also, I was happy again to see that you moved it because I don't think that this body has the depth of knowledge to digest and analyze and understand everything that was in that audit in just a matter of days. So I am very glad that you are moving the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak?
Brenda Baker, Ashton Court. I'm here to talk about the Committee to Promote Superior Township. We have our usual infographic report, which did not make it into your packet, so I put it at each of your places. So it is there.
Excuse me, Brenda, what did you put up here?
Infographic report.
There's a reason why I emailed you.
Yes,
It would have been a part of the, you can't share this. I made it very clear in my email to you.
okay.
So we'll look at this, but that's it. Okay, this is the report you cannot share. It's politically twisted. It's going in a certain direction. All that has to stop. And we'll talk about that later if necessary. But you should have responded to my email that I sent to you.
I believe that I did respond to all emails.
No, you didn't. I sent you an email. You were copied on the one to the Facebook people.
Oh, I was copied on it, but I don't have.
Okay,
Or get citizen participation. You can participate for 3 minutes anywhere you want.
Yeah,
Stop with 2 minutes, and 25 seconds.
thank you.
So
But I would have go on.
Okay. I just wanted to, we're normally in the communication section of the agenda, and the due date for submitting things for the agenda has moved, and because I don't work at Township Hall, I guess, I didn't get the word. I didn't know. So I put it on the Tuesday before the meeting, as it always has been, and therefore it was late, and I found out on Tuesday before the meeting. So that's why I put it at each of your places. It's an infographic report, similar style to what we've been doing every month. Another successful month. And if you have questions about it, you can ask me here, or you can email, or you kind of know what to do. Thanks.
Is there anybody else? Do you see that? Sorry. You, sir.
Good evening. My name is Rob Zimmerman. I'm from Pittsfield Township, and I'm a candidate for the Washtenaw County Treasurer's position. I'm just glad to have the opportunity to introduce myself to the group tonight. My background is in financial management. I have 35 years plus of financial managerial experience in private industry, starting off with a Big Four CPA firm. I have a CPA certificate and also an MBA in finance from Northwestern University. Also have served as a Director of Finance for international automotive suppliers that are based in Southeast Michigan, and also Director, Division Controller, and also operations controller for other Fortune 500 companies. I consider myself very strong in financial analysis, controllership capabilities, internal controls, and really would like to use this opportunity to look at with the change in the treasurer's office, to have the opportunity to look at things in a completely refreshed manner from what we've seen before. I also am been on a pension committee and a 401k committee within my prior employers. So I'd like to think I'm well versed in the investment opportunities that such organizations have, and can look to advance all of our pocketbooks. I look at money as being not red, it's not blue, it's green with black and white accents, and it will be managed accordingly, straight down the middle, straight the way it needs to be. Follow the law, do what the law says has to be done, and don't do what the law says can't be done. Within that, we'll also like to see what we can do to get ahead of things that are issues within our financial area. For instance, we perpetually borrow $20 million to cover delayed or delinquent taxes. With the rise of inflation and interest rates, I'd like to find a way that we can collaborate amongst the county and the townships and cities, because the townships and cities are our first point of contact with the taxpayers and the voters, and would like to be able to see if we can borrow internally, perhaps even with our school districts, so that we don't let the banks in, taking their spread over both sides of the transaction. Maybe we can communicate a little better and save a few bucks. Also, in terms of foreclosures, housing's tough. And we need to get ahead of where we can be and not have things go into foreclosure that shouldn't be. Commercial areas like to see things get to return to the tax rolls and their best value possible to look after all of our pocketbooks. That's it in a nutshell. I look forward to, I will hang around any questions or so forth that people want to aim at me. I'll be happy to just chat, etc. I would like to have the opportunity to meet Lisa as well, and certainly hear about hearing about the upcoming audit. If there's something that I would be quite willing to come out next week if it's something that you think would be a benefit to you folks. Thank you so much.
What's your name?
Rob Zimmerman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob.
Rob, R-O-B.
good time.
TC, you.
It's a long 3 minutes.
Good evening. I want to thank the township for allowing Clay Hill Community Farm and Garden to come out to Superior Day. That was our first time to come out into Superior Township to work and help spread the message about gardening and farming.
Hey,
It was-
TC, put the mic over.
Okay, thank you. It was a very enjoyable weekend to come out to the Superior Day out at Oak Brook Park. We did get a good response from the community. I learned a lot of new things and met a lot of new people. We did get several signups, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 17 signed up to volunteer. So this will be a good partnership between Clay Hill Community Farm and Garden and also Superior Township. And we look forward to having more outings if possible to collaborate with for the community. So I just want to thank you again.
Thank you. Wow. Look at 17.
Good evening. I'm going to be really quick, under a minute if you're timing me. I just want to remind everybody that this Saturday, September 22nd, is Kite and Rocket Day at Fireman's Park. What did I say? Yeah, it's great. Give me a minute and 30 seconds. This Saturday, how's that? This Saturday, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., Fireman's Park, Kite and Rocket Day. We're going to start the day off by cutting the ribbon on the brand new play structure. It's pretty cool. When we started designing this play structure last year at Superior Day, we had the kids draw things they wanted on the playground. So that's how we came up with a lot of the elements on there. This year at Superior Day, we had kids make a ribbon out of paper. That's what we're going to cut for the grand opening. So come on out, go down a slide, have a hot dog, fly a kite. 11 a.m.
Hi, everyone. Ryan Eaton. I'm from Spring Hill Drive in the Tanglewood neighborhood. Thank you, Bernice, for introducing the email that I brought up to you. And I hope it's okay that I'm talking separately to you all about it. Just want to thank the whole board for the project that you all initiated, building the bike path from Dixboro east on Plymouth towards the borough. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it. And I'm a really big cyclist, and so is my wife. I got permission from the missus to be here. It's our anniversary today. To talk about this important thing. You know, we've got 2 young kids, and there's a ton of young families in the Tanglewood neighborhood now. And one of the tricky things about this bike path is we can't access it from our neighborhood. So it's about 0.4 miles from the entrance on Ford Road where that gas station is on Plymouth to get to the borough. And we actually love going there for lunch and brunch and whatnot. And you caught me, and I sent an email to y'all with a picture of me, a selfie of me pushing the stroller on the shoulder, where there's, you know, it's not a really good shoulder and there's cars flying by. So I had to like hold on to my 3-year-old's hand real tightly. So that whole thing is to just ask of you what it would take to get that bike path to be extended just that extra half a mile to our neighborhood, because that would improve our access, not just to the borough, but the botanical gardens, and we could go down North Dixboro all the way down to the Huron River without any intersection with cars. Should be awesome.
Won't it be a lot safer? Put your mic on, Nancy, please. Put your mic on. Don't you put the mic on? I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Just push it.
Won't it be a lot safer for you with your little one?
That's exactly what I'm getting at. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. For safety and access, I think would be amazing. So whatever you all could share with me about what it would take to get that done, I want to support in any way I can. I'm sure a lot of other families in the neighborhood would love that too. We pull out the kids in a little trailer, and I can't do that as it is right now. Yeah. Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
Any other citizens want to participate tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to.
Is there anyone?
And give us the auditor report, but we're gonna delay that. Do we have Paul Rosenberg here tonight? From Priority? Anybody here from GFL tonight? Paul was supposed to be here tonight to inform us about the transition from GFL to Priority Waste, which is gonna happen on July 1st. The contract is going to be assigned, and unless the board has some real strong reason they would object to the assignment, we can't unreasonably not withhold, cannot unreasonably withhold signing it. So it has been a real kind of lack of information coming from both GFL and from Priority. The only information that I have received, I put it to the board, the supervisor's report, is that there's going to be assignment from GFL to Priority on July 1st. We're going to step in to the contract, exact same contract, exact same times. Pickups won't change. Compost days and yard waste days and recycle days will remain the same. And it's supposed to happen on July 1st.
And I want them to be happier unless it's another GFL trans, you know, but, yeah, Prior is supposed to be here tonight. I'm a little disappointed they're not here.
Yeah, because we talked about that just Friday, you and I. Yeah.
I guess that's a concern for me, that feels like we're gonna be jumping from out of the frying pan and into the fire. So, if they're non-responsive about making this appointment, I'm struggling.
At 7:30, he might.
I'm struggling. I guess my other larger question is with the changeover from GFL to priority, does that afford us, Fred, where's Fred? Does that afford us an opportunity to renegotiate the entire trash services and open it back up for RFP?
Mhm.
I reviewed the contract, and the contract provides that the contract is not assignable. Well, it is assignable, but we would have to have a good reason to object to the assignment. Could we sit down and open up the contract? Anything, we can talk about it, yes. But there's no provision in there that would specifically allow us to reopen the contract. But what we do have is obviously, because we do have the right of approval, that might provide us an opportunity to sit down and talk to them about some issues that we might want to discuss.
So I'm assuming when they assume the GFL contract, GFL business, that also means they're gonna absorb GFL's personnel and their stock of trucks and all of the other junk that we've been dealing with.
Well, that I don't know. And the lack of communication that we've had with this new company, we really don't have any information on it. Frankly, before we can agree to the assignment, we should have all that information available to us as to what they're going to provide us and how they're going to service us. So, I don't think it's necessary. It's not a done deal that we've approved the transfer of the contract at this point. So we would have the opportunity to discuss this with them, and I would hope that they would reach out to us at some point and say, hey, this is what we want to do. And we would go through with them and find out whether or not they are capable and suitable for providing the services to the residents of the community. Without that kind of a discussion with them, I think it would be premature for us to just agree to the assignment of the contract without that discussion.
Correct.
Totally agree.
So Ron, to answer your question the best I can, my understanding is that every employee at GFL was terminated and they have to reapply and go through a process at priority, and that the trucks and the other stock and inventory of GFL is going to be sold to priority. I've heard that from the foreman for our area, but I did not hear that from the higher ups at GFL.
I'm sorry, were you done?
No, I just want to go on the record and say, I personally have, you said wait till 7:30, so in 2 minutes, I have no confidence in priority and would strongly urge that we open up ourselves to other opportunities.
May I comment on that?
Sure.
Priority is currently in Redwood Apartments, and they have been doing an outstanding job. So I hear what your concerns are. And I do recall Priority when we went with GFL, and there was one person on this board that said, don't do it. But bottom line is that it was Priority that kept coming back to the meetings on a regular basis, not GFL.
Correct.
Oh, no.
But yet we went with GFL. So I'm just saying, my experience, they are so timely. It's ridiculous. They're doing an outstanding job.
Timely with Redwood. That's one small
Gotcha.
area. We're
But
talking.
if they're
about
taking
small
over,
area
yeah,
Township,
yeah.
so I really wanna.
And I just have a question. Will the priority trucks be identified or will they still be labeled GFL
I think they'll be identified.
as priority?
I don't know.
Normally in a sale of this sort, it's an asset sale as opposed to a purchase of the company. They're not purchasing GFL.
Correct.
They're purchasing the assets of GFL. And what Ken has said relative to the termination of the employees is consistent with that sort of a business arrangement. So I think in that situation, my guess would be is that they will relabel all their trucks
Okay.
the priority because, that they now have acquired that.
But I would just say that, I think it's premature for us to say yes or no either way. I think we just have to sit down with them and talk to them and see where we're at before we agree or disagree with, the assignment of the contract.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, Matt Shinsky, on the.
You must talk into the mic, please. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Matt Shinsky. I'm on the HOA board in Tanglewood. I definitely am in favor of GFL being removed. However, I've noticed recently waste management trucks up and down Plymouth Road. So I don't know if they work in our township or not, but I actually saw one today. So just wanted to put that. I do like the idea of getting multiple bids just for cost saving measures, but that's just my thoughts.
So I would recommend that everybody just research priority and look at the reviews. Looking at them now, not so good. Most of them are one-star reviews. Some of the townships or communities that just went with priority, like in May and March, you just might want to look at them. And I don't know if that's just indicative of all waste management companies right now, but it's kind of scary when they may be good for you, Lynette and Redwood, but these reviews are not good.
That's my
I
concern.
was talking to Fred, and it seems that with all the waste providers, solid waste providers, now there's problems industry-wide. They can't keep workers, there's turnover. And Fred indicated to me that some of the other communities that have waste management or other service providers are all everyone's unhappy. And they really, the only option we'd have to get away from a private source for solid waste and yard waste recycling would be to create DPW and do it ourselves.
Good Lord, that'd be
And that's
expensive.
really something that
Holy-
Come on, Ken.
they really want.
I just want to say that based upon my experience in working with a number of communities, there isn't a waste management company out there that's getting glowing reviews. I mean, I don't care who it is. Everybody is, everybody's got complaints about whoever they've got.
Yeah. So,
And that seems to be par for the course.
yeah.
But I think we just have to do our due diligence.
Well, I have to this is sort of funny because GFL's letter to us just said, we are certain that Priority will continue to meet the highest service standards you have come to expect from dealing with GFL. And we and Priority are coordinating the transition. That was pretty scary. It was like, oh, that's great. Well, and right.
So I
didn't
think
get-
it would be incumbent upon us, if we're gonna have a special meeting for the audit, that we have a special
Pick this
meeting
up.
on the agenda item to be the assignment.
I agree.
contract.
I would support that.
And we're gonna go to Rick next, Rick Taylor, who's gonna give us an overview of what he has done on the 24 property. Why he does that, I'm gonna call Paul Rosenberg, find out why he's like this. So, Rick? Yes, sir. You
Go
got
for
the
it.
floor.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
All right. So what I'd like to do, if that's okay, is to kind of go through a little history of what's happened since we were here literally a month ago. We listed the property on Plymouth Road. It's not open for public consumption yet, just because we were trying to get some things ready. The property as a whole was pretty much a jungle filled with buckthorn, autumn olive. There was a video that I had sent to the board. I don't know if everyone looked at it or not. I got some quotes to get the property cleared, leaving the larger trees and taking out the scrub brush, etc. And the quotes were like $6,000, $5,000, and that blew our budget. If you recall, we had a budget of $5,000. So being a homeowner on 10.5 acres and taking care of a lot of this stuff myself, I brought my own commercial grade zero-turn mower, a chainsaw, and I spent about 4.5, 5 hours there cutting paths, cutting branches down, some scrubby trees down, and making some actually really charming walking paths. And then it kind of hit me while I was there is, let's not clear it, because if we clear it, all we're going to look at is Plymouth Road right in front. And I'd rather have people kind of meandering through the property. After that, I had filled out the application for the soil evaluation and was able to find an excavator who I've used many times, Mike Shepherd Excavating. He is not paying me to say this. Anyway, he came out, Steve, the sanitarian for Superior Township came out. We all met together. We did a drawing and we were shocked, truly shocked to find out that it was sugar sand out there. The first dig was sand and all the way down,
One
all the
of
way.
our board members needs an explanation.
Yeah, sugar sand is exactly what you would think of, almost the consistency of sugar. And you find it a lot down in Florida. But up here, so where I live on the corner, near the corner of Troy and Voorhees, and everything on my property is clay.
So is mine.
And
Why I asked.
I just sold a house on Dixboro Road and we had to put in a whole new drain system because it was all clay and so to go to this particular parcel and have them just dig sand from the first dig all the way to, they basically just said, look, we're down 7 feet. We've got more than what we need. They went through. And so great news tonight, we got the soil evaluation in writing. I contacted the supervisor for Washtenaw County time of sale program, and I emailed it to the clerk this evening. So it's just wonderful news. There were no restrictions for building a house on the property. If you recall from our first meeting, I had said that we are in a well first area, but we do not want to put any money into a well until we get the soil evaluation done first, because if you can't get a septic system put in, you're dead in the water. And now you're selling, land that isn't worth very much.
Yeah.
So step one, we have the soil evaluation. We can put at least a 4-bedroom home on the property, which is wonderful. Step two, I contacted Liberty Title and they went through their legal and we found that there is a legal right for this particular property to have a driveway come in off of Allendale Drive, not on Plymouth Road. That enhances the value of the property as well. I had my surveyor come out. He marked the property. And what was great about that was the northern property owner, a very nice older woman, was putting just some like refuge, nothing major, but kind of encroaching on the property. And so the surveyor and I had a pleasant conversation with her and just said, you're going to have to move this, some of this stuff. And so she assured me she will, and I'll follow up with that. So driveway, we're good. Soil evaluation, we're good. Survey, the survey has been staked. He's going to come back after the well is drilled, because what he'll do is he'll have a survey that shows exactly where the bore samples were taken, the soil bore samples were taken, and where the well is, and put it, all on that, certified survey. So we're moving along really well. And it turns out that the excavator that I used, obviously excavators work for a lot of different people, some private and some commercial. And a builder not that far from there does a lot of work with the excavator. And he said, this person may be interested in purchasing this property. And so that person reached out to me and we had conversations about it. I sent him all the information and he thought that the price seemed fair. And so that's kind of where we are right now. And we'll get back into the offer part of things in a minute, but one of the things that I think is important to discuss, we had a $5,000 budget. Our budget, if you were to include the well application, which I have not, I have it all filled out and done, but we have not turned it in. After we pay for that $300, give or take, well application, we're going to have $1,780 left of that $5,000 budget. I contacted Cribley. They wanted $8,000 to $10,000. Yeah, just to drill the well. And by the way, I had pulled 4 properties that immediately surround this parcel that have homes on them, and the average well depth was shockingly shallow. 55 feet, 56 feet. The deepest one was directly to the north, and that was at 65 feet. So when I gave all of this information to Adams Well Drilling, Cribley Well Drilling. They wanted $8,000 to $10,000. I called Ann Arbor Well Drilling. And they offered to do it at 3,735 feet, or I mean, $3,735. Here's the thing I want to talk to the board in general about. We are in a well-first area for a reason, and that is because, you know, you can have one house here that has water and you can go over one parcel and not have water. And so although this quote does say $3,735 to do this, less than half of what everybody else was offering, please know I have to warn you or caution everybody here that you could hit what's called a dry well, and they would have to move over and try to find another aquifer somewhere on that property. So is it likely that you're going to hit water? Yes. Are you probable? Yes. Is it possible, somewhat unlikely, but possible you may not hit water? Yes. So just so long as everybody here knows that. I think we have a great opportunity to get the well drilled. It is a wonderful marketing feature to say to any buyer, regardless of any offer, we have what do you want to call it? There is a approval for the soil evaluation check mark, the driveway check mark, and you have a well drilled. And that's just a wonderful selling feature. And whether you did or didn't, any buyer worth their salt is going to demand that those things are done. And so no buyer is going to buy land in a well-first area and not have the seller pay to have the well drilled. So I hope that gives you a pretty good sense of what I've been up to and what we've been up to in general. Any questions about anything so far?
What was that, the bid for the well?
Yeah, so first off, I contacted Cribley, and they wanted literally, she said $10,000. And I said, well, the well's only, you know, I gave her, and she said, well, we like to quote high. And I said, well, I don't. I want a quote that's representative of the depth. And she said, well, we just can't do that. And then I went to Adams and they said the same thing. So Ann Arbor Well Drillers, they quoted, and I have the quote with me, and I believe I had sent this information as well over to the board. But the quote for Ann Arbor Well Drilling came in at $3,735. That's just to case the well. It's to drill it, leave the PVC in the ground. They have what's called a screen that they put in at the bottom, but they don't put a pump in it or do anything like that. So is it? That is correct. The other thing too, the sanitarian who met us for the soil evaluation will also be dealing with the well. So I've already sent him the well application, no check. We're not moving forward with anything, but I did want him to review it. And while he was there during the soil evaluation, we did come up with a place that we think would be the most likely place to put a well. And I had the excavator actually clear out a pretty sizable path for a truck to easily come in and drill it, should we decide to move forward with that.
So, you know, we got an offer on it. Do you know if that purchaser, is interested in splitting the property?
No.
Or just putting a single family home on there?
No, and I don't think you can split the property because it's
There's ways to do it, but you know.
right. No, I think what this person wants to do is to put a big old house on it. That's what
So before we get to
Mhm.
your next phase of the offer, I just want the board to know that it was a pleasure working with Rick. He was very thorough, very ethical, and I couldn't ask for more in working with a realtor. You did an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're not done yet.
That's why we selected.
We're not angry.
Yeah.
Rick's like, I'm not done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to inform the board at this time? Or
We have an offer.
Yeah, so we have an offer on the property.
that's not his new business.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
we may want to.
can do it.
Closed session on.
We don't, no, not for sale.
So I'm not going to disclose
close
any
session.
personal information about the buyer.
Yeah.
I-
It would be done in the open meeting anyway. We don't go into closed session for
So
sales.
here's the good news. So we have somebody, so, you know, there's risks on no matter what we do. We could sit there and say, you know, we're not going to look at any offers. We're going to put a sign in the front. We're going to put it out there for public consumption. And let's see if we get a bidding war. Well, in 22 years, selling Lord knows how many properties, I've never seen a bidding war on a piece of land, ever. That's number one. Number two, There are, I want to say, 12 pieces of vacant land for sale right now in Superior Township, very close to where I live on Joy Road and amongst other areas, and they are just sitting. I was looking here while I was sitting here, some of them 94 days on the market, 50 days on the market, that kind of thing. What's really great about this buyer is the buyer is, working a quarter mile away. And what I keep in mind, I have a fiduciary to Superior Township, and that is trying to say to this buyer, look, you can bring your trucks in for other properties and you just go a quarter mile down, you're going to save a whole lot of money, not having to hire out to different people, et cetera, et cetera. So if this was a house in the neighborhood, I would advise you to put it out for public consumption, let it sit on the market for a week, and then look for final and best offers. The fact that vacant land does naturally sell slower, take a little bit longer, et cetera, et cetera. Having somebody that is immediately interested in the property, willing to give us full price on the property, and really, quite frankly, the two things that this person wants to do is to make sure that there's water, as any buyer would, and to do a soil compaction test to make sure it can withstand, the weight of a home on it. They have 30 days for due diligence, and then they would close 2 weeks after that. So to me, it just seems like this is a sound buyer. The buyer knows what they're doing. They do it all the time. They're paying in cash. So there's no loan to worry about. There's no draws from a construction loan or anything like that. So that's my opinion.
No contingencies.
There's a contingency of a well, and there is a contingency
No
of-
financial contingency.
Correct. Thank you. Yes, you're correct. So no financial contingencies, cash, easy peasy stuff. I'm not trying to convince you that this is the only way to go, but I am trying to say to you that vacant land is not typically something where people are tripping over themselves to try to buy it. And this seems like a pretty straightforward deal.
I'd just like to say that when we first started talking about this land, if you recall, we were talking about someone bringing forward an offer of $65,000. You just brought an offer of $135,000 more than that offer. And it sounds like it's going really well. I don't know what else to say.
It's a real way to get to new business.
Okay.
What I can say just as a human being and somebody who has property, once I started walking the property, you could start to see the charm in it. There are some lovely trees on it. It's pretty flat. It's up against Plymouth Road. I mean, there are some things that kind of drag it down. You can't really do a walkout basement unless you bring in, hundreds and hundreds of tons of dirt to lift up the ground. But it is a pretty parcel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rick, you're on as new business. You're on as A, so we'll be getting to you shortly.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
That takes care of our presentations and public hearings. And so we move to the consent agenda. If I could get a motion for the consent agenda.
So move.
Support.
Okay. Are there anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda to talk about?
Yep. So I want to pull the supervisor's report, and I was going to pull the controllers as well. But since we're going to have the audit meeting, we could talk about that then.
Anybody else? Seeing that, all in favor of the consent? Well, I'd like to pull the minutes also myself. So with that, is everybody in favor of the consent agenda with those two items being removed, say aye.
Aye. Say 2 items.
The approval of the
Three
minutes,
items.
supervisor's report.
She put controller.
And the controller's report for that next meeting.
Right.
For the
So
next meeting.
Yeah, all right, so you're
She's
pulling that,
both
you don't
of
want to
those.
review it tonight, you want to pull it and delay it to the next.
exactly.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so the minutes, I just have one item that I want to talk about. That's on page 97. And so it was highlighted that Supervisor Schwartz asked multiple times when Mr. Taylor,
It shouldn't be highlighted. Sorry about that.
I don't know.
But you're right. It shouldn't be highlighted.
Right. would you, Mr. Taylor utilized Kovak excavation? So I did a little review. I only asked that once.
Mhm. No, it's in the minutes, the verbal. You can listen
I
to it if
checked
you
it out,
choose.
but you want to ask Landis? He reviewed it.
No, Landis is not on this. You can review them. You've asked several times.
I reviewed it. No, I didn't. I asked it one time.
Okay, Ken.
So let's just pull that and we'll review that after the fact, okay? All right. With that, all in favor of approving the minutes from the May 20th meeting, say aye.
Aye.
And then you want to pull the supervisor's report.
Right. And the supervisors,
Where is it?
it's not in the book.
You put it on the table, Ken?
No, he sent it to us.
Send it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm dealing with voters that's sending me their applications. When did you send it?
Right.
Okay, sorry about
But
that.
he was also supposed to bring it and put it on.
Yeah, you gotta get the stuff in.
There's some important things to talk about in it.
I agree.
So can we not discuss it? Sure. I think we should. So there's a, you said
Can I
that,
grab it real fast?
yeah.
It's on my desk.
What, I can,
Email.
do you want,
Make a copy.
okay.
I'll make a
What
couple
came on
copies.
Friday?
Let's just stand at recess for 3 minutes.
It came on Friday. In an email.
This just begs the point that we have to get all reports in on time. And I have an email, Ken, where you said you get it in the very next day, so. You say that every time.
He's going to get it.
You're gonna give us a copy?
I believe so.
That's on nothing.
Right, yeah. Mhm.
We got 3 minutes here, right?
No, not really.
If she's able to get in.
The only one that's cold.
Maybe. Might be that cold water you're drinking.
Could be, but I don't think so.
Mhm.
It's not that cold, it's like drinking water.
Mhm.
Thank you. We were gonna get out of here before 10 o'clock.
Well, they postponed the whatchamacallit report, the audit report, so I believe we will.
I think we can get out of here within
Yeah,
45
yeah.
minutes if Ian comes back. There he is, yay. Yeah, because I didn't, thanks. Thank you. I read it, but I didn't.
You got one for the audience?
I got one.
Okay, because I was gonna say Nancy and I can share.
I could use one, thanks. I read it online, but
Wow, this long? Huh?
I don't.
No pictures.
Yeah, he sent it.
It can't, yeah.
He may have sent it. I just.
You didn't read it.
I don't remember reading.
Because it should have been in your board packet. It should have been scanned to the public so they can see.
Okay, we're gonna go back on the record.
Okay.
Bernice, you wanted to pull the.
So Ken, in the very first one, we talk about, or you talked about Washington County Parks, the demand for compensation at the Clark Road pump station. You said that I think you said that you sent along, I passed this along to OHM for review. You've
Is your mic
requested,
on?
yes, sorry, you want me to yell? Okay, so anyway, $95,000 for damages and rent. This is that property that we talked about, the
Something.
easement.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened? Because remember, we had until November last year to complete it, which I think we did. It was completed by November, so why are they coming?
Well, I sent it to George to have them analyze this. I was very kind of surprised when that came across. And I've talked to the parks. They sent me some new information on Friday. I sent that to OHM. I haven't actually reviewed it in depth at this point, but we are going to meet with their attorney and somebody, probably Jenny Lycum from the Parks Commission at the site, probably next week, and go over what they claim is their items of damages and our response.
Okay, you said that you included a copy of their communication. Could you send that to us?
Yeah, sure.
Because it's not in this packet. All right, then, so we're going over the Washtenaw County Road Commission stuff tonight with the agreement that you gave. The Clay Hills or
But
Clay.
there
Hill-
was something on the Washtenaw County I'd like to address just for
Okay.
a second, on the Washtenaw County Road Commission. So you might remember like the first agreement they sent us was all on Joy Road.
Right,
And so there's a effort by the Road Commission, Salem Township, to revamp Joy Road. It's a border road. And there's a bridge and a culvert there, a large culvert and a small bridge. And so Salem has agreed to pay for half. If we would pay for half and the Road Commission would chip in roughly a third, our cost would still be about $500,000. And it's just something that they threw at us at the last second. I went to Salem and I said, Salem, why don't you finance this and give us an opportunity to pay it back over time? They're sitting on $40 million in their reserves. And Gary Whitaker said, no, you have to on his board who did not want it.
you got to speak to your mic.
So that was Gary Whitaker. I asked Gary if his board would consider loaning the money to us to complete this project and we pay it back over time. And he got back and said his board would not consider that, even though they got $40 million sitting in the bank.
Okay. All right.
So that's something that we probably will take a look at with the Road Commission and Salem Township for next year.
Okay. So then there's the Clay Hill Farms paragraph, and I think you sent this to us in an email too. It's my understanding from Bill, because I went back to find out what's going on based on what you wrote. I asked Bill Sechrist tonight if Cribley Well quoted $70,000 to dig the well. You said they did not?
No.
Okay.
Speaking to your mic, please, Bill.
She wants you to speak into your mic.
Your mic.
No.
Okay, so so there has never been a quote from Cribley, but
Well,
anyway.
I'll just answer. I did ask Cribley if they would look at that and send it to me.
Why are you asking? I mean, I don't know, never mind.
Okay, so anyway, there's no water. They know that there's no water on the site. So I know that we talked to Juan, there was an agreement that we might get utilities water to that site. Is that correct?
He needs to come to the mic.
He's coming.
Public water.
Well, utilities, public, right? So
So yeah, when our last meeting with the Washtenaw County Water Health Department, what was that group that we met with for the well? Health, okay. We talked at that meeting about the well and what a cost would potentially be for the well. And then we started looking at what cost would be for water based on usage. So TC came up with a volume which he thought would be adequate for a season. And we did the math on that, and to pay back the cost of the well would be 10, 12 years down the road. So to have a good source of clean water right there. So TC did reach out to Utilities Director Mary Burton and Utility Superintendent Ricky Harding to get initial information. So they're working towards that.
So it is possible to get public water? to the
Yes,
park?
there was public water on that site previously. So yep, that is
Yeah,
definitely
there's
an
never been an
opportunity.
issue about tapping. That can be done for both water and sanitary. But Juan, what was the issue with the health department and the well? Because I heard that it was going to be upwards of $60,000 to $70,000 to sink a well.
They didn't quote us that much that, the health department's not going to throw a number out to us, but they did mention that it would be an expensive well. Just based on the requirements that they would have, the well would have to be grouted. It would have to be steel. It had to be steel. It wouldn't be able to be, plastic tube or PVC pipe for the well. It would have to be a steel casing, be grouted, additional testing requirements. So that was really their issue. And once we started talking about those and what we thought those costs might be based on what we had already learned from previous talks with Cribley, that's when we started. I suggested, hey, let's look at a well and let TC let us know what his water volume might be. So that's why we started moving towards the well.
So do we have any idea how much it would cost for public water to water that site?
Yeah, we know.
I think we came up with about 2,500 to 3,000 a year.
So that's okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot cheaper than that.
Yeah. And, and obviously it's gonna, we all know watering your grass, it's based on the season and how many 90-degree days we get in a row and all those things. So, it's gonna be a better option.
Right.
Yeah. It's gonna be a better option.
What's the cost of getting hooked up to public water?
I don't have that number with me. And I'm guessing Mary probably does not either. I don't want to put her on the spot, but, there's cost to, for the excavation work, there's a tap fee, there's a meter fee. So, it's still going to be much less than putting, that substantial of a well in.
And then says that you said something to Ken about the volunteers. That there weren't enough volunteers. I just want to make sure that everything's.
Yeah. No, I don't know TC's volunteer, roster, how many, I've never said there's not enough if that's something that's in there. I know, the only discussion that we've had about that, I know we talked about planting the trees at one point, and I mentioned that, if they're doing the trees, which is on the agenda, it would be better to have them planted than to get the volunteers to plant 100 trees or whatever it is, because there's not enough volunteers for that. That would be feasible.
Okay, that makes sense. That was all. I just wanted to make sure I understood that. Then the next thing, the woman not the woman, but the residents where all of the staging equipment was used for. Yeah, yes. So they just sent us this invoice and we will pay that.
I'm sorry, could I ask a Clay Hills question?
Sure.
So in here also is it possible to get a updated itemized, like what has been the spend up to date? Because the 70,000 number is coming up and sometimes we throw numbers out, we don't have the backing for it. And then we throw numbers out and we use it as a reason to not do things. So I want to make sure that we understand what has been spent to date and why and what we've spent it on and the suggestions of what we don't want to use or want money to come from, I think is a board discussion. So I just want to make sure that we have what is the $70,000 that you're saying came from general fund? Can we get a itemization of that so that we can understand what's been spent so far?
Yeah, that won't be a problem.
Okay.
It was land for the testing on the soil and then
I mean, I understand what it was for, but how much for each of those line items?
well, I know how much they are, but I'll have Nancy put something together for you.
That would be great.
Yep. Nancy and I just completed the ARPA reporting for the year. We do that yearly. So, we can get those numbers together for you. And then, as Ken said, the other general fund numbers, we can get them all together too.
That's great.
I'd just like to comment, no, I didn't see your memo, your report, Ken, sorry. But regarding number 4, last month you weren't too nice in your comments to TC. after he revealed some concerns about what has not been done. And I've watched and I've seen how you could treat people when, let me finish.
Not gonna sit here.
Ken, I'm not gonna attack you. I'm just letting you know. It is not you. You're saying taxpayers' dollars. Shame on you. Number 4, Clay Hills, not taxpayers' money. Number 4,
Number
you're
4,
saying,
said the first.
I just
paragraph.
repeated it. You're
Said I
talking
think
about
this is
Clay
what-
Hills, it should come out of ARPA. No, we have a tree fund. And we've talked from day one because until I made comments about the tree fund a while back, this board wouldn't have not known about the Hyundai tree fund. I brought that to,
It was in the development agreement. Everybody knew about it.
and people don't. Anyway, I think you all understand where I'm coming from. The funds should not come from ARPA. They should come from the tree fund. There are so many trees in that fund. And I think that it should come from there. And we should stop saying taxpayer dollars to create development and beautiful, wonderful programming. I think it's pretty. I think it's wonderful over there, the playground equipment, what you're trying to do, the library and the community center that you have concerns about. These are our residents, whether they pay taxes or not, and they should be treated the same way. So I'm fed up with hearing about taxpayers' dollars. And I just want to put that on the record.
I think my main thing was that it seems like, Ken, there are some concerns that you had that I wanted to make sure that I don't want to overlook anybody's concerns, but the statements that were made in the supervisor's report,
Well, you can state what you have a concern about and I can respond.
no, I said you had concerns. So I want to make sure that we're, as a board, are hearing your concerns and that we are taking those into account moving forward as we're working on this project, because we shouldn't have the negative talk of any type either way. So I just want to make sure that the concerns are brought to the table. We're all adults. So if there's concerns, that we just have those.
I express them here.
But is that something that you want to discuss with the board? Have you discussed those with Juan and TC?
Rhonda,
Yes, sir.
I'm a little deaf. Could you move?
I'm
could you-
sorry.
Could you move your microphone a little closer?
Sure can, mister. I
thank
got you, Mr. Seacrest. So no, I was just saying, I know that there's some concerns. I wanted to make sure that I was being given Ken the floor to be able to address any of the concerns that he had.
Well, my main concern is we approved the rezoning a year ago and we haven't got a preliminary site plan yet. So really, if you're enforcing the zoning ordinance as written, you can't do any work on a site until the final site plan has been approved. And it's just been a long time coming. There's money out there available to move this project forward, but it's just kind of sitting out there. So I was told that there was a dearth of volunteers. And then I was also told that the well was going to be very expensive. And because there was pollution on the site, that's what I was told. So I have concerns when I hear that sort of thing. But I would like to see them get a preliminary site plan into the planning commission, get on board with the planning commission so that we can have the public hearing on the site plan. Or you don't need a public hearing on the site plan, so that we can have the site plan move forward through that process. And then come back to us for a
Yeah,
development.
the fact that we don't have a site plan is not the fault of Willow Run Acres. It's a fault of not having an information available in order to apply for the site plan.
Well,
I think Jan could give us an update on what are all the obstructions that we've been facing.
yeah, that'd be fine. I'd like to hear it.
You weren't.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I first like to explain, I'm not sure, I'm sorry, I'd stepped out and I'm not sure where you are. Still wondering about the well and why we switched to, no, okay, we're good.
We're on the site plan.
Okay, so on the site plan, we are ready to submit to the road commission. We have the traffic study already completed. And the held up with the submitting to the road commission is that the assessment information at Superior Township has not updated the zoning. And therefore we have asked Juan to work on that. And once we have the zoning information that is correct, then we can submit the road commission plan. We are also working with the water commission because there are two processes that we have to go through. We have to submit to the road commission and we have to submit to the county water commission. We've already had our preliminary application process and meetings. And what we're working on is the development of the stormwater system. And that is the most important because what we're trying to do is to capture all of the stormwater as much as we possibly can to be able to use it to keep water costs down and to be more self-sustainable. So
Sustainability matters.
Thank you.
So you've run into problems with the road commission and the Water Resources Commission, is that?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You've run into problems with the Water Resource Commission and the Road Commission, or just they're demanding certain information?
No, what we, so it's just, it's a process, right? We are a non-for-profit and we were fortunate enough to have engineering companies provide us with services at cost. And we also have a contract with Engineers Without Borders. They're a national association and they actually provide engineering services for free for nonprofits. And so therefore we are working with them and they all do work full time and we are going through that process. So it just takes longer.
So you don't need all that from those other agencies to enter into the planning commission process. You'll need that to get your final site plan, but a lot of people do go get that first. So
that was the agreement that we all had at a meeting. I don't remember the date, but you were there as well. We had a meeting with Laura Bennett and we decided at that meeting the process that we would go through. And the process was we would not do a preliminary because it's expensive and we didn't have enough time, that we would actually then submit a plan to the road commission. We would submit a plan to the water commission. We would get the letters that they preliminarily approve it. And then we would submit to the planning commission. So we are following the process that we all agreed upon at that meeting.
yeah. Okay.
So it sounds like there should not be a concern because we are following the process.
We're doing our due diligence.
Thank you.
It just takes
Appreciate the
time.
clarification.
Okay, you're quite welcome. Anything else?
No, anything else on that?
No, just that, another was the Dixboro project, remove the grass. So all of that's copacetic now.
One of you on Bernice.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm still on play.
Sorry.
You're right.
Johnny.
Just like, okay.
So my last question is that there is a comment that any trees purchased should not come out of the ARPA award. If the trees die, which is very likely, Superior taxpayers should not be holding the bag. Is there are there trees already purchased?
Yes.
We approved them last month.
I know we approved. I didn't know if
We-
they've already had them.
I just
delivered.
talked to Barry Margolis an hour ago. We
Okay.
bought the trees. He's already paid for them, so we have to pay half of it. And we're not going to put the trees in until it's the best time.
Got it.
So if we put them in this summer, we're going to have to make sure they get adequate water.
Mhm.
And the soil will come with the trees. So the soil will be amended as the trees go in. The water will be available. He can bring it in on his truck if we want to pay for that, or we can put up water bags for each tree to keep them alive over the summer. But we'll have to fill those water bags every 3 or 4 days. So it's a lot of work. Either we do that now so that the trees can begin getting established with a good root system for the winter, or we put the trees in the fall, but we don't need to worry about the water so much, but they won't be quite as hardy to face the vigorous winter, we hope,
Right.
even with this heat dome,
It'll be 70 degrees and sunny. Okay. Okay. That's all I wanted. Thank you, Bernice.
Welcome.
You have the
All
floor.
right. So just everything else was pretty self-explanatory in here. And just, I'm glad that the Dixboro project was done is that to the satisfaction of the zoning?
Well, that's what Laura told him when she was the
Is that-
director, that she had to hard surface it.
But I'm just saying, we were just talking about, if we're, the whole zoning ordinance, is it fine with the zoning ordinance right now?
You'd have to ask Diane. I believe it is, but I think
Okay.
Diane would have the final say on that.
Okay.
I just drove by it today. It ain't more pretty than cars on the lawn, I'll tell you.
Well, but if they're complying,
Yeah.
That's
it's-
the
it's in
breaks. I mean,
compliance
if,
with
if,
the
are
roof.
they in compliance? If
It's
they're in
not-
compliance, it's okay. Well, that's all right. And that's it.
You had a question about the Hoving family with
Yes,
the
this,
Park Road.
that was a $6,000.
6850
Yeah,
to restore the front yard.
so that was okay.
Okay.
We don't have to, do we have to do anything with that? As a board?
Yeah, are we just,
No, we're
have
reviewing it. Remember, we signed a release with them back in November, so we got to compare the release to what they're requesting to make sure we're not double paying. We've already paid them a lot of money. I just want to make sure, so I sent it to George at OHM to have them review it and get an answer back from them.
And maybe Keith Lockey just to check with the accounting on our end, if we've already, because I thought we did pay some things
We did
early.
pay.
thought we were
We
paying?
already did
Yep,
pay.
Yep, so that would be good.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so that takes us then to unfinished business. So Charter Township Superior Purchasing draft policy.
Okay, so the purchase policy, the draft of the purchase policy is in your books. At this point, this policy was modeled after Pittsfield Townships, pretty much the same. I met with Nancy Mason. She had agreed that this was workable. At this point, I think it would be good just to make sure all the directors also think it's okay and it's workable, and they could bring their concerns back to us, but that's where I'm at, so. Did my homework on that.
Oh, you're supplying that for information only to.
And for, yeah,
and
so I don't know if,
possibly to move on at a future.
so I don't know if you guys have read it, make sure, because it's, the officials are also a part of this. You were before, so you might want to read it.
Okay. The ordinance process, ordinance enforcement, I'm assuming that's about the announcement from Mr. Petrie that he will, from Mr. Petrie that apparently he has a couple health issues at this point and he doesn't feel like he can continue on as the ordinance officer. So I have kind of slipped in to do it now. I'm going to prepare a description, a job description, and we'll have to post it. Come back at some other time.
So everybody is just, they're just sending you the, whatever issues there are.
I'm dealing with the issues
Okay.
that arise right now.
All right.
All right, that takes Clay Hill Farm, identify the tree funding source.
So I move that we pay for the trees that will be planted at Clay Hill Farms out of the tree fund.
Support.
I just have a question. Is there any criteria as to what states the tree fund can be spent for?
Excuse me,
Is there
no. You
criteria?
got Hyundai,
Yeah.
you got several tree funds, so no.
Not, okay.
No, there is.
Trees.
The ordinance does
Right.
state. The idea with, of course, the court could deviate, but the idea with the Hyundai Tree Fund was to create more biomass, was to replace the biomass they lost when they put those tracks in and removed all those trees. We could put it for street trees, we could put it for rewilding areas, we could pretty much do whatever we want. I think the ordinance contemplates that it is to replace the biomass loss from cutting down trees.
And we, what was the guy's name? The previous attorney that we worked with from Hyundai? Yes, Trigan. He said we can do whatever we want. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Whatever we want with that tree fund.
Okay, good.
So there's a motion.
And it was seconded, I believe.
All right, so there's a motion to pay for the fruit trees out of the Hyundai Tree Fund. There's a motion and support. So I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moves.
Could I ask a question? Didn't I read?
Speaking to your mic, please, Nancy. Just keep it on and just move it out of the way when you don't need to speak.
Didn't I read something about minerals or vitamins or something lacking in the soil that the fruit trees were not going to survive? Didn't I read something?
Soil's going to be amended. I just talked with Barry Margolis, who's in charge of planting the trees. The trees are going to go in with amended compost surrounding them so that they can get established.
They're gonna.
Yeah, that's been taken under consideration.
I thought I read it. That's why I asked. Okay, thank you.
It's a question, it's a question. Anytime you plant a tree, got to do your best. There's no guarantees here, but we're going to do our best to plant the trees intelligently and skillfully so that they'll have the best shot to grow and provide food for the community.
Shade.
Some trees like a higher pH, some a more neutral pH.
Yeah.
They can do a test at the time that they put the trees in, but then it should be done. Okay, controller status. I don't know who's that.
Well, we talked about it last month at a regular meeting about keeping Keith on until after the audit. I know that we're going to have the audit discussion next week. So it's just keeping that, what's going on. There was a transition plan that was supposed to be developed. We haven't seen that.
Well, he's staying on to November 20th, but we have to advertise if we're going to replace Keith.
Who decided November 20th?
Keith, that's what Keith said to the board. He is staying through the end of the term.
But if Aaliyah at Utilities is already trained, and if you talk to Nancy, she says that she's not using Keith very much at all. I think that would be our decision rather than the.
Well, that's what Keith said, and I think we all assented to that, but it doesn't mean we can't.
I don't think.
No, we didn't.
No, we did not.
We didn't, Ken.
I think that's pretty much.
No, actually, what Keith did is told the board twice that he was going to resign. And what happened the last time he made the comment is that, if I'm correct, please correct me if I'm wrong, the board didn't respond and beg him to stay. So it's still out on the table.
But that may well be, but at this point, I think that what we need to do is start looking for.
And he should be on this call, by the way.
There is that Woodhill group. I've talked to Colleen, I think her last name is Coogan, multiple times. A lot of the municipalities use her services. Everybody's very happy with her services. So it would just be responsible of us to look at the next step.
Yeah, I think we all thought that around July or August, we'd begin to look for a transition. Somebody would come in, maybe September, October, and then Keith would be departing in November.
So maybe
Ken, where are you getting all that from? We did not discuss that.
Well,
that's okay.
Let's talk about it at the special meeting with the auditor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another, all right. And I just want to say, we were going to talk about the Plymouth Road Park pathway back in communication.
Wait a minute. We're on D. Are you on D?
No, but I'm just saying, when we added the Plymouth Road Parkway discussion with Mr. Eaton, that probably was going to be was that going to be in communications? Where was that going to be?
We're on the D on the controller status.
All I'm asking is, where are we going to?
It should have been.
New business?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Adding what, Bernice?
That was
She added
the,
that.
Ryan, I just wanted to make sure that was in there still.
It's
That's all.
all under new business.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay, the next one would be me, the IT services update. We did have a presentation from VC3. It was a great presentation, but I started doing reference calls and it was like no good. So I did find out from some of the other municipalities that they use a company called DewPoint. I've talked to DewPoint and I've included their information in your packets. I'd like permission just to go ahead and have DewPoint give us a presentation. I did the reference checks before doing the presentation this time, and they were pretty good.
I don't have any objections.
Okay,
I think that's good.
okay, that's it.
Okay, then Plymouth Road vacant land, we're gonna deal with that actually under new business A, I believe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that takes care of unfinished business. We move to new business resolution 2435, and it's approved the purchase agreement between the Superior Charter Township and Anywhere Lombardo. Is that the real name of it? Anywhere Lombardo LLC. Rick, you have the floor.
Have you had an opportunity to take a look at this offer? As a board, do you have any questions or concerns about the offer? Before I start? No one? So the offer is for $200,000. They want to do 30 days to do any due diligence issues and then close within 2 weeks of that. Liberty Title has done what's called the pre-commitment for the property. And there are just a couple of slight, ever so slight changes I would like to make to this offer. We could either just scratch it out or just simply write an addendum. They're very, very minor. One is the buyer or the seller here is, pardon me, the buyer wants to escrow $10,000 with a different title company. And when you're dealing with a cash transaction, you actually utilize the same title company, and we're not going to punish the title company that's already done all the pre-work. And then going into a title company that I have no idea who they are. And so we're going to talk to that purchaser and say, actually, we're going to put that money with Liberty Title and have them do the full commitment and title package. The other thing is, I also just want to simply add a attorney approval, seller attorney approval of sales contract and title work, just to protect us as a board. Other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Sounds good, Rick.
Well, personally, I think it's probably a good price for that. We know it's fast. We could put a for sale sign and see what happens.
Right.
But you've been in the business for decades and you're telling us that we may not have an answer to that question if we put it up for sale for a long time.
Right. So I'll elaborate a
Land
little
has
bit.
been sort of dragging along and not
Right.
like a home that's for sale now with competitive bid ups.
One of the things you could do is tell this buyer, we're going to put it on the market. And so whether it was this buyer or any buyer, you're going to have to wait. Well, that may just send them packing, right? They don't need to buy the property. The other thing is we could put it on the market and they could still be interested. And then after 60 days of it not selling, which is possible, they could go, oh, that $200,000 offer, well, it's now $150,000. So there's, is it possible that somebody else could come in at 200? It's possible. But you have a bird in hand and I would recommend that you take it.
So Rick, you think the 200,000 is fair market value of that property?
Absolutely. So when you walk the property, there's no doubt that you're up against Plymouth Road. It is a the video that I did and I sent to all of you, you can hear the traffic zooming back and forth and back and forth. It's pretty loud. So I do. I had said originally that it was worth somewhere between 170 and upwards maybe of 220. And I think the $200,000 mark is a pretty reputable number. The other thing, one of the things that makes us valuable as realtors, besides fiduciary and professionalism and all of that, is also checking the market to see what else is selling and to see how vibrant or sluggish the market is. And I'm seeing a lot of the vacant land parcels be on the market for quite a long time. Even right now, we have a lot of vacant parcels in Superior Township that are not selling.
So what do we do about the well issue?
Well,
We'll
Yeah.
pay. We have.
you think that the well is a condition?
Oh, I know. It definitely, it definitely is a condition. So I'll tell you, so whether we have this buyer or don't have this buyer, the intent of our last conversation, besides listing it, the intent was let's start with the soil evaluation and do a few of the other things like the survey and the cleaning up of the property. Here's $5,000 to get you started. And then we'll reevaluate or, readdress that well issue. I would urge you, and I already have it all filled out. It's all drawn out, the spec and all the things that are done. I simply just have to get a check and submit it. I would like the board to approve the well drilling. I do want to verify with the potential buyer, they should have a say roughly where it goes. But I do think that we should try to approve money. It's literally a hair under $2,000. It's 1,900 and change. And I do think, getting an approval from the board, say for $3,000, just in case they have to drill down to 90 feet or something like that. That would be my recommendation.
Were they estimating 65 feet now? Is that what it was?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's likely they might go deeper.
Anything is possible, right? So what I would say is common sense and averages are going to dictate this well. You know, we should be able to hit it at 65 feet. There's a possibility we may have to drill down a little bit more. And, you know, you never know why this property was given to you to begin with, right? Maybe they tried to drill a well years ago. Who knows? But I do think it would be prudent for us to have enough money in the coffers to accommodate a well that, say, could be maybe upwards of 100 feet.
Well, I'd,
So I'd like to make a motion.
if somebody could make a motion for $3,000 or Adams.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I move that the board approves the purchase agreement between Superior Charter Township and Anywhere Lombardo LLC for the sale of the property for $200,000 with the extra 3,000 for the purpose of well drilling.
We're selling it.
I was gonna say.
Can I get a
Support.
second? Yeah.
Support.
Support. You know, the one thing I was curious about, did anything pop on the title review? You know, like any issues there on the commitment? We have a commitment, I take it, right?
Yeah, I
All right,
said
so
that.
that, if there's any issues, they've been dealt
I
with.
didn't see anything.
Okay. The way we got it was just a little odd, you know, so.
Was there?
Okay, so we got a motion support. Any more questions on this? We're going to accept the offer, and there will be an administrative change on the deposit to the new title company. You'll get us a new,
I'm going to write an addendum. I still have to propose it to the purchaser.
okay.
Like any purchaser. But once I explain to the purchaser, hey, you know, we're already working with a
Yeah.
title company.
Okay, so why don't we call the question? Go ahead, read the roll.
Caviston,
Yes.
Finley, yes. Lewis.
Yes.
Linky,
Yes.
Seacrest,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
unanimous.
All right, Rick.
So just one last thing, due diligence will take 30 days. We'll close within 45 days and I'll communicate with Lynette as how we're going with everything. Thank
great.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your work.
So there goes to 2024-36, and that is the motion to approve the fire department copier lease.
Support.
All right, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution 24-37, approve the agreement with Washington County Road Commission to install speed humps, on Overbrook Drive. Get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
I would say that if it passes, we take it out of the law fund because it's directly related to public safety, and we have money in there.
Yeah, we did that when we did
for the
that.
Previous one, but
We
should.
said we were gonna do it for this one too.
All right, just so that's clear.
Okay.
So why don't you,
Isn't it in here?
Lynette, will you read the?
Sure. McGill,
Yes.
Caviston.
Yes.
Finley, yes. Lewis.
Yes.
Linky,
Yes.
Seacrest,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yeah. Yes.
Unanimous.
Resolution 24-38, Parks and Recreation Month. Juan, do you want to say anything about this?
Yeah, this is a resolution that we ask you to do every year. Parks and Recreation Commission will be passing a similar resolution, just proclaiming July as Parks and Recreation Month in the township, just really just to solidify our commitment to parks, recreation, conservation, health, and all those fun things.
So moved.
Support.
Support.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No opposed. That moves on to Resolution 24-39, establish a road committee.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. So are we going to approve this and then we'll do the membership at a later time?
Yes, I think that was the.
Okay.
idea.
That's cool.
All right, we got a motion and support.
Yes.
Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 It's approved. Resolution 24-40, place rock property under the jurisdiction of Parks and Rec Commission. I could get a motion.
So moved.
Support.
All right, any questions on that?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions on this one. So we were saying establishment of the conservation easement, is that for the parks to have the conservation easement? And is there any flexibilities that that might change in the future?
Should you stayed up here, Juan?
Come on back, Juan.
Well,
No, we-
the conservation easement will be between the title holder, which is the township. And so we'll probably have to execute something, or we have to delegate that to the park commission, that particular portion to the park commission.
Yeah, and those are the discussions that we've had at the Parks and Recreation Commission level. Is that the commission would be involved in negotiating the easement. And you know, the restrictions that would come with it, but also the available areas that we could do some trail creation, those types of things, parking areas, put some areas out there that are usable. A lot of that land is farmland, so sure a lot of it'll stay that way, but there are some opportunities out there to get some paths, you know, that rock property, the Cherry Hill property, the one we're working on now, what we're calling the Bird Song property on Cherry Hill, creates a great you know, almost 500 acres there. That is a great linear opportunity to put some pathways in there. It gets us very close to the border to border trail, which gets us close to the Bell Iron Trail. So there's some great opportunities there.
Okay.
It's one of our finest moments.
For sure.
You have another question, Ron?
I just wanted to, only reason I was just raising that up is because I just feel, I'm impassioned about making sure that
make sure you're speaking
I'm
into.
sorry,
your
I'm
mic.
impassioned about making sure that the parks is doing some recreational type things.
Yeah, we are. And, you know, we've had discussions, about the recreational opportunities out there. I know it's been brought up at this level before, and you've brought it up, and we've had discussions about, you know, a camp out there or different opportunities. So, we're looking at those things, but we want to make sure whatever we do, a camp, trails, that it's in the best location.
Sure.
For you know, the users and cost effectiveness as well. So, you know, what we're looking at so far is you know, the Bird Song, what we're calling the Bird Song Preserve there on Cherry Hill, is a really great spot to do educational parking, trailhead, as opposed to doing something in rock and having to get people all the way to Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill's got so many diverse eco areas. You know, there's the woodlands, there's the wetlands, there's meadows. It's a great place. Cherry Hill is a great place. So if we did some camp, something like that, the Bird Song would probably be a better opportunity or a better location, just because of the proximity to Cherry Hill and all that offers. And, you know, there's a great area there where we could do some parking. So,
Spend a lot of money on that rock property. I want to see some
Yeah.
educational services
Yeah.
happening out there for this community.
we'll
We
get
gonna
'em-
use that property.
get 'em up
for
and
more
down
than just
there.
farming. Thank you, Juan, and if you need some help, I'm happy to come out and help you.
I know where you're at.
So I just want to make sure, I agree with Rhonda that the initial discussions for buying the rock property were
based
for a park, and that we make sure that we utilize it for all of the township residents, not just
Not just the
people
farm.
over here just for farm, that it was really supposed to be a
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
And even though the Parks and Recreation Commission will be working on a conservation easement, we would still be voting. They would still be recommending to the board so we can have input.
Yeah. As Ken said, you know, the township holds the land, so the Parks and Recreation Commission could take the lead on negotiating that conservation easement. You know, Jack Smiley's on our commission now, so he's a great resource. I know where Bill Seacrest lives, so he's a great resource too. But ultimately it would need to be approved at the board level. So, you know, if there were changes to be made or recommendations, you know, when we got to that step, we would definitely be in front of you.
So there are a lot of people that use Cherry Hill Nature Preserve, and we're talking about birdsong. Where will the parking be? Like, we don't have good parking out there.
Right now, there's not. There's it's on-road parking, which I am never in favor of, but you know, it's mostly adult users out there that are aware of traffic. We are starting to see more kids out there, which is great, especially with, you know, that we've had the owl prowl and the nature hunt bingo. So we're starting to see a lot more kids out there. So there is an area that we have kind of identified on Birdsong, which is on the other side of the road there. It would be utilizing the current farm trail that goes up into the property now, and you would get up into the property past the tree line and go to the west. And you would be right on the corner of the Birdsong property, right across from, nearly across from the entrance to Cherry Hill. So the elevation is a little bit high over there. So there, we need to figure out, stairway down or switch back so it's handicap accessible to get people across the street. But there's a good spot there near the road.
That would alleviate the parking on Cherry Hill because there'd be a nice parking lot right across the road and it'll service.
Yeah,
both the-
yeah. And anything we do there would be, we're not going to put asphalt in there. We're going to put, crushed stone, gravel, something permeable. So we're not, so low as impact as possible.
All right, thank you, Juan.
Thanks, Juan.
So any more questions for anybody? Seeing none, all in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. So we move on to 2024-41, approving the programming contract between Superior Township Park and Rec and Mighty Oaks Project. You're up again, Juan.
Come on, Juan.
Stay up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit there next week, so.
Yeah.
So the contract that you see in front of you is not new money out of the ARPA funds.
Right.
Back last year when we originally did a contract, with, we did one ARPA contract that covered both the Youth Arts Alliance and the Mighty Oak Project, which is CLR, to do programming for kids. They started out doing stuff in the Sycamore area. They ended up doing stuff in South Point Scholars, through the winter months. The amount that was approved for the initial contract exceeded what their programming costs were. So at the end of that contract, there was $13,500 left. I approached both organizations and said, there's a little bit of money left. I didn't give them a dollar amount. Just what can we do in Fireman's Park? What can we do in the neighborhood? Not down at South Point, not somewhere else in the township, but right in the neighborhood. So the Youth Arts Alliance was not able to pull something together quick enough. They didn't have time to build it out. They could, there's a possibility they could do something in the spring, but they didn't have time to build anything out this year. CLR came back with a 10-week program. And they're going to do similar to what they did with South Point Scholars. They'll bring, local athletes out. They'll do nutrition education, health, sports, fitness, retaining those school skills that you learn so you don't lose them through the summer. It's going to be a 10-week program. It's going to, they want to start, actually, we're going to have them at Kite and Rocket Day. So if you approve this contract, that's going to be the kickoff for them. And they've done a great project. We've been happy with everything they've done and we always get good feedback. They send me videos of their program and there's like 70 or 80 kids there. So they're doing a great job.
I would agree. I had an opportunity to attend their end of the year that they did at South
Yeah.
Scholars, and it was fantastic. So I'm very glad to see that there's some funds to continue some of these services through the summer because it's really vital for our children.
Yeah.
So Juan, I'm definitely in favor of this, but the one thing that I think we're gonna need is like one written report at the end.
Yep.
Indicating, because we haven't gotten a written report yet. So if we can get a written report.
Yep. They've given us a couple reports on their previous programs. I can forward that to you guys. Yeah. They've given us stuff, sending pictures, contacts made, what the curriculum was, what the outcomes were. So
Yeah.
they've given us that stuff. Yep. I can forward that to you guys.
All right, thank you, Juan. All right, so we have a contract here, so we have to have a roll call vote. Would you read the roll?
Blinky,
Yes.
Finley, yes. Caviston,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Seacrest.
Yes.
Is she unanimous?
And hopefully we'll
Okay.
find some more money.
That takes us to,
Part of the ARPA funds.
we're on H, that's 24. Bid 42, and approve the bid for the Stanford water main replacement. So, is Claire here? You want to talk about it? Maybe Mary wants to talk. I don't know.
So we've been assisting the utilities department with the Stanford water main project, which is on the my directions, right? I think it's the north side of Stanford from MacArthur to Norfolk. So we're putting in 12-inch water main. And we've been assisting with getting the Eagle permit and the road commission permit. Those are all in place. And so the contract is ready to, or the design is ready to go out to construction. So Ricky Harding solicited quotes from 2 different contractors, and the low bid was Inner City Contracting. I lost my place in the packet for the exact number, but it's in the,
599,
yes, thank you.
Do me a favor, Claire, speak into that mic for me.
Sorry, I thought I was-
$599,038.20.
Yeah. And so we reviewed that bid packet that Ricky received from Inner City and generally agreed that it was in good shape. So we're proposing that that get awarded tonight to Inner City.
All right.
Yeah.
So we all talked about the water main before. This is a water main that's gonna run down Stanford to replace an existing old water main. It'll run from MacArthur west to, where's it running to?
Norfolk.
Pardon me?
Norfolk.
The Norfolk.
Yeah.
And there was an item in there for restoration for the people's yards.
Yeah, there's items for restoration for yards and for any driveways, because it's a directional drill project, but we do expect that with the amount of driveways and services through there, that there's going to be a decent amount of restoration of driveways and sidewalks and things like that. There's also some items in there for ADA ramp replacements of those intersections. The road commission required that since the there would be impacts to those sidewalks. So.
All right, thank you. So can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, any questions for Claire or for Mary? Seeing none, we'll read the roll.
Seacrest,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Caviston,
Yes.
Linky,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Finley, yes. It's unanimous.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that moves us to resolution 43, approve the increase of election day inspector salaries.
We're there already?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing. Okay, to remain competitive in the election world, especially since the state implemented the early voting, we need to, continue to keep our inspectors, to get more inspectors. And we believe that this increase is fair,
It's warranted.
fair.
Yep.
So moved.
Support.
Is that going from to 18 and 20?
It says it at the bottom, therefore, they're at, $16 per hour for the election inspector, 18 for AV count board and co-chairs, and 20 for the chair.
All right.
Okay.
Do we have a motion and support on the table yet?
Yes.
Okay. Any more questions? Seeing none, all in favors of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. That takes us to approve the invoice from MTA for the dues. If I can get a motion, support?
So moved.
Support.
Can I make a comment on this?
Sure.
Keep in mind that what you're paying for is also the extra benefit that we have available to us for any online programs that they have, the conferences, and there have been people that have been taking advantage of that. Every staff member in each department has a login access, so I encourage you to have your staff to go on MTA and engage in any workshop or any service that will enhance their skill set.
All right. All in favor of approving the dues, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion to approve the transfer of waste collection services to Priority Waste. So we're going to table that.
Yes.
And I did speak with Paul Ruthenberg. He's sorry he missed it tonight. He didn't get it in his schedule from Friday, but he will be here when we have the special meeting. Discuss the Plymouth Road pathway extension. Is this the one where?
Yep.
a citizen wanted to-
Yes, yes. Well, it makes sense. So what Mr. Eaton said in an email to us about his family walking down Plymouth Road, I actually saw them that day. And we've talked about the safety or the the rationale for having the pathway extended, I think on Getty is about safety. This is the same thing. There, it's a quarter of a mile. I don't know if Claire could talk about how much that might cost just to extend it on. But that's something we should consider.
Well, before Claire speaks, safety is the number one issue for getting.
Speaking your mind, please, Supervisor Short.
Safety is the number one issue for getting grants from SIMCOG, so we could probably, be able to justify a safety issue out at that point. It's kind of self-evident.
Yeah, so I mean, generally, I was doing some mapping. It looks like it's like 0.4 miles or something, a little over a quarter. Generally, like ballpark without looking at anything, I tend to estimate about $1 million per mile. So that would be like $400,000 for 0.4 miles. But we would really need to do some investigation of like the right-of-way limits to see if one side of the road makes more sense than the other, where to cross. Because right now we're on the south side of the road, Tanglewood is on the north side, and there's that curve through there. So we need to do some preliminary due diligence before getting a real number. And to apply for grants, you need that preliminary due diligence. So if it's something that you're considering moving forward with, I think it makes sense to do some at least concept planning.
Well, we could apply for the Connecting Communities program for the preliminary engineering on that. I'm pretty sure we get some money from county.
You could, I was actually looking at that application too, when this came up at the beginning of the meeting, and the intents to apply are due on July 15th. So that's something that we can discuss if that's something we're interested in. There is you get less points if you have an open Connecting Communities grant, which we do for the current Plymouth Road pathway. So it might score better in future years, but still worth a shot, or at least talking to the.
Well, whether it goes this year or next year, you're gonna have to do the preliminary engineering anyways, I think we probably stand a pretty good chance to get preliminary engineering because we did for the Cherry Hill Road path.
Yeah.
A grant for preliminary engineering.
Yeah, so, I mean, we can start putting together a proposal to do preliminary engineering so that you can go to the Connecting Communities grant with that.
Why don't I talk to you about that over the phone?
Okay.
We'll move on that.
Just in terms of safety, what would it take to reduce the speed limit through Dixboro? It's kind of ridiculous to have cars.
Well, we have in the past, in 2000 and I think in 2013, we had meetings in Dixboro about reducing the speed limit. And you have to have the state police to buy in, along with the county road commission and the township. And when we've done in the past, when people in Dixboro complained, Bill McFarlane was the supervisor. He had Brian Holmes, who was the traffic safety inspector at that time, deputy. He sat there and was writing tickets, and they found out that at least half the tickets he was writing were to people who lived in Dixboro. And then they backed off on it. So it's really, it's 80% of the median speed. And you would have to go through a process where it would be warranted by a road commission state police study to lower the speed limit. It's very difficult to do. But I mean, we could try, but I think that's something that's probably be better off for next year.
Put a speed hump in there. I have a question for you, Claire, while you're up. Did we ever revisit the non-motorized trail extension from, I want to say Arlington down to
Wexford?
Not Wexford, Andover down to Ridge?
And
I know we're talking about doing it from going towards the library, but we had also expressed concerns about kids walking to school at South Point. And I feel like that keeps getting dropped.
South
Point Scholars, which is Ridge Gettys.
Which is all the way, okay, so that's almost to Canton, right?
Nope.
But
It's still Superior.
Yeah, so right now the pathway that has TAP funding ends at Wexford, I believe.
Yes, Wexford to Andover.
Yes.
Right. So this would be on the opposite, probably
So
like
Wexford
Godfordson to Ridge, something like that.
Yeah, we would be
High Meadow
Wexford to
Ridge.
Yeah, whatever the next street would be, High
So,
Meadow.
You know, we'd have to figure out, like, as a board, what project did you want to back? Because we can't just keep submitting a lot of them. We'd have to figure out one that
Right.
was the most important, because we've been successful, but you know, you're just not going to be successful every year.
By the way.
That stretch would be a great stretch to finish, but you're going to need a bridge in there over the Fowler Creek, and that's going to be expensive. And then when you get down where our pump stations are at for water, you're going to have to work all the way around that. There's a grade drop of about 10 feet there. So, I mean, there would be a lot of engineering, and also I think it'd be very expensive.
Mhm.
We'd
Pretty
have to be
expensive, but I
prepared for
think
that.
we gotta address it because we've got kids that
safety,
live
yeah.
all along that area. And I think it's vital for the school and for the safety.
Okay, so update on the sidewalk repair program. I'm gonna pass, could you pass these down? Lena? Pass it. So we have one thing the board needs to deal with on the sidewalk. Well, that's on this. That's on after this.
Okay.
Then.
He said, pass it down.
So, you can pass
What is
that.
this?
Landis might need it.
So this is a bill that was sent to Mr. Dwayne Carter for $45. And, I guess Mr. Morris went out per instructions from the office here to replace his sidewalk. And it turned out that Mr. Carter never returned his card because he had died in February of 2023. So he never received it, and somehow we ended up having Mr. Morris go out and do this work. And now we need to figure out how we're going to pay for it, because Mr. Carter probably would have qualified for an exemption. We all know Mr. Carter for a long time. So we could put it on his taxes, which would be very difficult for his heirs to pay, I would imagine. We might have to go to probate on it because now that he's dead, or we could just pay for it out of the general fund.
So he has did the heirs live there?
No, the heirs live in North Carolina. So there's really nobody living there now, but I've checked, there's no transfer of the property. Dwayne died about a year and a half ago, so he never got the card because he was deceased. And so Mr. Morris was sent to do this job mistakenly. And so now we have this bill and we got to figure out how to pay for it. Either Dwayne's estate will pay for it, or we will go ahead and just pay for it ourselves.
Knowing that he was qualifying for the exemption, what was the difference in the price? Was there a reduction in the amount of this invoice base if he would have been paying it out of pocket?
If he qualified the exemption, we would have paid for it ourselves.
Okay, so
Which I think, you know, because I don't have Dwayne's information now, but Dwayne always got a poverty exemption from us back in on the board of review.
Board of Review.
And then he always had help from University of Michigan Law School to help him with taxes and getting his information together for the board of review. So I'm certain he would have, so I would just suggest we pay for it.
So if we can just verify that he did have exemption from the Board of Review, then I would do it.
Yeah, I don't know if he applied for it this year, to be honest.
Didn't apply for it.
Well,
I don't know.
applied
We
for
can
last
find out.
year.
I mean, I know that this guy, God bless the rest of his soul, he has definitely came before the Board of Review in the past when I was on the Board of Review. So I'm sure that.
So you would have approved it. I mean, that's all I would say is if he already had a poverty exemption.
But let's say, assume for a second that he didn't, then do we put it on his estate? Do we put it on the taxes to collect it, or do we just go ahead and pay for it ourselves? Just pay for it.
Utilize his property exemption.
Pardon me?
And do the property exemption. He's qualified for it before, so I'm confused, Ken, to what the issue is.
The
Thank
issue
you.
was that he never consented to this.
Yeah, because did you not say he passed away?
Yeah, because he passed.
Okay.
Passed away, so
The work
mean,
is
I
done.
think it's done.
and it's
We
been
have
paid.
it has to
So
be paid.
he either will pay for it through his probate estate or through his taxes, or we will pay for it. My suggestion is I know Dwayne. I think a lot of people on this board know Dwayne. Dwayne
No.
was special in many ways. You know, he died kind of premature as it was. And I don't think he could have ever afforded this, to be honest with you.
I would agree.
Yeah, he had help from Habitat for Humanity, so we qualified there.
I move that we pay.
I say we pay it.
All right, so why don't you just give me a motion so we can go ahead and just pay for it?
I did.
I move that we pay the invoice for 1566 Harvest Lane in the amount of $4,500.
Support.
But my question is, if he would have been eligible for the property exemption, would it still be 4,500?
That's what I was asking.
Well, no, if he was eligible for the poverty exemption, he wouldn't have had to pay anything.
So
But we don't know because he didn't apply this year because he was deceased last year.
Come on.
Missing my question though. So I was saying, if he was, just say he was totally eligible for it, would we
Right.
have billed 4,500?
We would have paid for it out.
Right.
We would have paid the 4,500.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that's what we're
Qualified.
doing.
Right.
Okay, like we've done for other qualified.
Saul?
Yeah, all right. All right, so we got a motion support on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll take care of that tomorrow. That takes us down to the road commission contract, which I put on the table. And this was we made the record.
Before we go to that, Ken, if you don't mind,
Yeah, he's not.
are we just finished M, right?
Yes, we're on N.
Okay, so my question with M is, what is the update with the sidewalk repair program?
Well, it's moving forward. There's
What does that mean?
12 customers or residents will be taken care of this week, and we're preparing for next week. So I've been writing letters to everybody who was not serviced last year and reminding them that they wanted us to do the work. Do they still want us to do the work? It will be done on this date, and if they don't, they need to contact me if they have want to.
So is that what your deputy did before? So you're doing it now? Is there a reason?
Let's not go into that.
Yes, I am going into it.
Talk to you tomorrow.
No. There's something I don't know about.
I don't.
I don't know.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
I don't know.
I'm saying that the deputy was doing this work before, and I just asked, is there a reason why she's not doing it now? So,
The deputy hasn't been doing this for a few months now.
Right.
If I'm not
You're correct.
mistaken.
okay.
You're correct. So it is moving forward. There are people who are being serviced this week. There will be people who service next week and every week until we get all the cards that were returned to us saying the township, the resident wanted the township to complete the work. They will be done. Once they are done, we'll do another tranche.
So who's doing the markings and the?
They were done by OHM and we've gone out. I've gone out.
Not doing them.
OHM did the markings.
You all didn't do markings this year.
The markings were still there. They were visible.
No, they were faded, and that's why people have.
Well, they were fading, but you could still tell.
Yeah, but the people were frustrated because additional markings were being added by Morris. And then we bought a bunch of supplies. So did they stop? They've stopped doing the markings.
I don't think he marked any, to be honest with you. I was proposing to let him.
Yes,
go
he
ahead
did
and
mark some,
remark
Ken.
the ones that were all needed refreshing. But OHM gave us the list, and those are the addresses we're working with right now. Okay.
To me, it's not, but
Do we
you
have
know,
an update on the actual, what has been done versus what?
I've been trying to get that report for a long time, and I haven't been able to successfully get that report. So I would just prefer to move on, to be honest with you.
I would like to get within the next month, the report of like who's actually done this, just to give some percentage idea of how many people are actually taking action when we're sending them that notification. And is this something that warrants us having someone that is really focused on doing I don't want to use the word enforcement, but just doing that follow-up to make sure that this is being taken care of, because I was out in the community over the weekend and I saw there were homes that had dug up the sidewalk and there was like literally trip hazards that have not been addressed. So there's a lot of issues that are still out there.
By our
You
contractor
gotta
or by a
speak up.
private?
You gotta
I
speak
don't
in your
know.
mic.
I don't know who the contractors are, and because I haven't seen any updates or even a list of the units that
I've
have
been
been
trying to get
flagged,
one
so
for
I don't know.
since January without success.
So the board then should request that we get an inventory of.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, can we get the
Yeah, we need to see.
That's fine. I will try to put something together, but the data has not been compiled. We can put something together for you, but I'll send you what I have received and you tell me if you can make.
Do we have a listing of all of the properties that were flagged? And then of that listing, something that just says what's been completed.
I don't think we have that because I've asked for that for a long time. And even today, I had somebody call me up and say, hey, you sent me a letter about doing my my sidewalk and it was already done. And so on the list that I had received from Irma, that name was on there. So I told them, don't worry about it.
Can we ask Irma to address?
No.
Why not? She was responsible for the
Well,
sidewalks.
if you want to.
I was just saying,
I think as a board, I
Yeah.
like.
know, like,
That sounds good.
where's the last list? Irma, can you step up? Sorry.
Oh.
Like, where would be the last list that you did? Like, what was your cutoff date? And then
In the report he's referring to that you never.
I've provided all the list
Can you
of
send the
everything.
entire board? I mean, what's up? I'm confused.
What we have right now, I don't know what's going on right now. I do know that the exemptions have been eliminated. Those people who qualify, who most need sidewalk flags done, they're not being done this year. I don't know what's being done. And I just want to remind the board, I'm the one that detected $20,000 payment for 3 flags. I am the one that detected work that had not been done. I am the one that detected billings, duplicate billings. And we're not talking $1,000, $2,000. We're talking a lot of money. After that, I started giving them a list of what needs to be done. You just have to make sure everybody, it doesn't have to be me, but just make sure there's oversight. This year, the stamp appeared. This year, there were markings. In early March, residents called me complaining, Irma, I thought we had time until June. And then I found out who did it. That was the contractor. I told the contractor that is seen as pressure soliciting. There's nothing else I can say. I've said it all.
All right, I'll tell you, I'll send you everything she has sent me. I'll send it to you by email tomorrow. Okay? And then you can kind of, we'll flush it out and we'll deal with it next month.
And yeah, make sure you go all the way back, please.
If we can do that, I mean, I'm happy for us to all work together to just kind of flush it out, get it up to date. But it's so hard when there's this cutoff when Irma was doing it, and then I haven't heard any more about the sidewalk program other than when there's a complaint from a resident or you see people on Nextdoor talking about the stamps or whatever. And so those are the things that I just feel like I'm not in control or aware of what's happening. So if we can all just work together to get it up
I
to
had
date,
one
I think
complaint
it would
about
be
the
helpful.
stamp.
Oh, I didn't have
Well,
several.
you know, it wasn't addressed to me and he went out and he took care of that.
Yeah,
I told him if he wants to stamp it, he's got to get something in writing from the homeowner.
I agree.
But I will send you everything I have, all the things that were sent to me.
I'm happy.
And
to
then
go on
I would think that
too, and
if we're gonna have an analysis like that, we need to have the deputy treasurer here because she's been handling or the treasurer's office, she's been handling the invoicing.
You've been handling.
You're handling the
invoice?
invoicing?
Yeah, the treasurer's department send out all invoices.
But are they for like putting it on the tax roll? Like
No, it's
No,
for,
no.
Payment
Poverty.
due.
payment due?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, regarding the stamp, I think I sent a letter to the entire board regarding it. So again, it doesn't have to be me, but just make sure, please, that you're protecting the residents.
You know, I was
Oh.
walking in Bromley Park, Ken, and I mentioned this to you that it was a fresh sidewalk
you, Irma.
completed and Morris put a stamp in there. And I specifically asked you about that and suggested to you that he get something in writing. Obviously, he did not get the approval of that house. I have the address and everything. I took pictures. Let me finish, please. No, but the stamp has been removed.
It's really quite a minor issue. Once the stamp is removed, you can't even tell it was there.
Well, what I'm saying is you addressed it with him and he removed the stamp. Yeah,
Well, I don't know if I addressed that
Yeah.
particular one.
yeah,
Maybe you told me and I told him. I can't recall.
yeah.
But we'll get you all the information.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted. Thank you, Ken.
Okay, that takes us to N, which is a motion to approve a township agreement for Washtenaw County Road Commission to do the following work. Yale Road, Gettys to Vreeland. That would include drainage improvements, forestry, heavy brushing, shaping existing surface, and application of 4 inches 23A limestone. Approximately 1,750 tons with associated dust control and project restoration. Estimated total project for $114,000. Township-wide limestone, which we spread over various areas which are need extra limestone, maybe not an entire segment. 52,000 Berkshire. Work to include Berkshire Prospect to Sheffield. Work to include milling, the existing pavement, the placement of 2 inches of HMA resurfacing, structure adjustments, ADA sidewalk ramp upgrades, and associated project restoration, $140,000. Spring Hill in Tanglewood. From Tanglewood Drive to Creekside, it's the same thing, a 2-inch mill and then refill at $76,000. So the total cost for all of that work, $382,000, of which we get $126,552 from the road commission. So the amount that we would have to pay for all this work is $255,000.
Is this not included? I'm struggling with this MacArthur and Pine Road not being addressed. So when you turn in off of Park Road to MacArthur, there has been this huge divot that has probably all of us that live in that area have hit that hole at some point, and it is like so deep. And I know somebody that has actually ended up with a flat. It's literally it's one of those things that, like, Washington County Road Commission, please come out and look at the little things and
That's both drain and roads.
let's
There's a drain
work
in there.
together.
So
And
it
just
it
fix
is,
that little.
Question on that for a couple months now.
It's been
They said
more than-
they'll get to it, but
They not getting, they gonna get to all of this, but they not gonna get to that one simple thing. And then on Pine Court, I went over there and took a picture. There's a big old crater of a hole. It looked like it's about to become a sinkhole right in the middle of those people's street. These are like small, easy fixes that I would hope that they could do.
You know,
We're
I
taking on talking about huge projects like this. It just kind of frustrates me.
suggest that the board look at the last 4 or 5 years, especially since I've been here 7 years, and see where the funding goes for road improvements. I know I used to live on Sheffield Drive, and I couldn't figure out why we couldn't get Sheffield Drive repaved, as we're riding down all these streets. So these are taxpayers, Ken. We need to look at roads also on the other side of Gettys.
well, we're doing Berkshire.
And by the way, the road commission doesn't come up with these. They come up with them with
No,
one.
they came up with the Gale Road. I didn't.
Thank you for saying that.
did
You're
not
right, the
request
Gale
it.
Road one.
Not requested.
Mhm.
I requested the township wide, the Berkshire, the Spring Hill. I sent out everyone to the board, like, you got a project, let me know. And I didn't get anything back. So this is what.
Well, it's not a project, it's just a
That works.
Well, that's maintenance and operation and maintenance, which is the road commission's responsibility, not ours. And we have to put in a ticket, and I put in a ticket for that divot on MacArthur, and they got back with me and said they are not going to address that right now because they have to work with the drain commission to lift that, and they have to do a drain repair there because that's a drain which is settled.
So I actually put in the fix it and talked to them last week. And they said that they would have it done by September.
Well,
And it's been, and it was, but it's been on their, the rules for like 7 years. Like it's been a problem
It's gotten
for
worse.
7 years.
Every year it gets
There's no
worse.
doubt there's a problem there.
So,
It's
so,
the
and,
commission's responsibility to
Yes,
fix
yeah.
that as part of their maintenance obligation.
Just referring to fixing a pothole or a hole, I'm referring to resurfacing other sides of the township roads. That's all.
Well, the worst road in the township that's paved right now is Spring Hill, kind of followed by Berkshire based on the Pacer ratings from the road commission. So we went with the worst, and there was a demand for Berkshire from some people. I don't remember who they were. So that's why they were included. You know, it would take $5 million to fix all the roads in the township. This is all we can chip away at, 250, 300,000.
I agree with you. I just think that sometimes we need to really push them to prioritize some.
I
of
would
the
suggest go
smaller-
to the road commission meeting on Tuesday. They have one tomorrow and express that because that would probably be
Well,
doing.
you know, I
Tried
talked
get
to
in, but
the,
I couldn't even log in, so,
Log at what on Zoom?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I-
Mandy in Pittsfield, and she made a wonderful suggestion that the road commission should come. She makes sure they come to their meetings on a regular basis.
I think
So I suggested that occur in the future.
They used to come all the time until they got their new managers after,
They still do in Pittsfield. So it's just about an ask. I don't think that they would have an issue.
okay, so we have this. Are we gonna approve it or not? If we,
I'm up for
okay,
it.
we have a motion.
So moved.
All right, support? Is there support for
I
the,
thought he had already, yeah,
okay,
yeah, he had already
all right,
supported.
Bill already support. Okay, so any more questions?
you won. So the township wide limestone, can we get item, like, where are you putting this? Like, where does that go?
Yeah, so, yeah, we can get you a list, but we don't know at this point. That's determined in September after the summer.
Okay, so we're asking for this, but we don't know where it's gonna go.
That's right. We're asking for a specific amount to be determined where it's to go, because after the summer, the gravel roads get beat up on, then we.
So is
would
this
go
the
with-
normal amount we've asked for in prior years?
I've asked for more in the
Yes.
past, but yeah,
Happens
2,000.
every year.
Yeah,
It does.
I'm asking if this is the normal amount, Nancy.
it is.
Not asking if it happens. I know it happens every year.
Yeah, Bernie, it's roughly this.
Okay, thanks.
I think we've ordered 2,500 in the past a couple times. You know, it's getting expensive. It used to be half the cost that it is now, 5 years ago.
Okay,
All these so expensive.
ready for the roll call vote?
Please.
Addiston,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Blinky.
Yep.
McGill,
Yes.
Seacrest,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Finley, yes. It's unanimous.
Did we have an O? No, we didn't. Okay, so we're done with the agenda for new business and we'll move on to bills for payment and record of disbursements. I could get a motion on that, please?
So moved.
Support.
All right, are there questions on the records?
Yeah, yes, I'd like to know on, this is the general fund, page one of 3 toward the bottom. We had a check cut for $448,992. What was that?
That was
Probably
a,
payroll, I would think. I don't know.
no, that was a check for escrows.
For-
Escrows was taken out of, it was separated out of the general fund account. Ken Polka and I talked about, and he said it would be better if we actually had an escrow account and had all the escrowed dollars in that account.
Like a separate bank account for escrow? Is that what you're saying?
Correct, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And so those monies were transferred over into that account.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
And it just says that we voided one of the checks and we reissued it.
That's correct, because she misspelled the word escrow
Ah.
or something. So she, I mean, just a typo.
And then on the next page, 2 of 3, to Affinity Valuation Group, There's two appraisals for 2,700 for the same address.
They were different addresses. One was A&L, which was the Landau building, and the other one was for the Dixboro project.
Okay, they both say 5,400.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the bills for payment and the record of disbursement, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? None. All right, this takes us to pleas and petitions. This is a time that anybody in the audience or the board can make a plea or petition to the board. You can tell us what you are concerned about or what you would like to see us do. Anybody from the audience? Anybody from the board?
I have two.
We're almost to 9:30. We can get out of here at 9:30.
Yes, we can. We sure can. I'll make sure to do it. Okay, I just wanted to bring up again, I had the pleasure of attending CLR's end of year event. They have done such a wonderful job with the community, with the children in the community. The turnout was, it was out of sight. And I'm pleased to see that their program has really taken on and that we as a board were instrumental in helping that to happen. I think you all would have been very proud if you would have had an opportunity to come out there to just see the engagement, and not just the children, but it was families that were out there. Kids were getting haircuts, they were getting pizza, they were doing face painting, they were jumping in bounce houses, playing with snakes, all kinds of stuff. I got pictures. And it was just a really, really great day. So if there is ever opportunity for us to continue with any of the remaining ARPA funds, I would strongly urge that we find a way to continue this program because it has really made an impact in our community and it's greatly appreciated. The second thing is a little bit more of a sensitive issue that I'm still trying to figure out how to address with some members of the community that have approached me with regards to Superior Day, in which some people felt like it turned into a very political event. And I was like, well, it wasn't supposed to be, but people have made comments that they were very disappointed with how political the Superior Day was. And I think that as a board, that we need to make sure that we avoid opportunities, making opportunities out of the tax-paying funds of our residents, because that's how some folks interpreted it. I saw a couple of comments on Nextdoor, and I just want to make sure that we put our best foot forward and our best face forward anytime we are hosting something on behalf of the community, even though nothing may have been considered wrong, just putting our best face forward when we are representing the community. So those are my two pleas and
I
petitions.
only
and
saw
you all
one
can go home.
person there passing out literature, but I'm sure people are going around.
We don't want to go into detail.
I'm
on the
not
subject
going into
matter,
detail.
please.
I'm just saying, put your best
Please.
foot face forward as
Right.
we were told not to be political or no booths or speeches or whatever. I just took it as just show up and be a part of the community. And I was disappointed to see a display of politics at an event that our residents paid for along with our residents. So I just wanted to share that as a part of my pleas and petitions.
All right, Bernie, you have something?
Yeah, just one thing, we're going to be talking about the audit next week. And Rhonda just mentioned ARPA funds. I know we have a balance. We have to have those funds committed by the end of the year. I think we need to revisit what's going on just to make sure that we have it all committed.
And it's all committed. And I had asked Juan to work with the group, to bring back a contract.
Good.
And we've talked about this, but we'll talk about it again. And then it'll probably go towards the demolition, of the building. But as I said in our audit meeting, the ARPA funds will be spent
Said it in your-
on time.
Good, good.
I don't think that's a real issue there.
We just want it
But
to make sure.
fresh. That's fine. Landis, do you have anybody that wants to comment from
Yes, he
electronically?
does.
All right. So Steph says that GFL has routinely failed to uphold the terms of their contract in Superior Township. The fact that they are not here today to explain their behavior or to outline the effects of priority waste acquisition does not give me confidence that their service will improve. With less than a month before the acquisition proceeds, I ask that the board be proactive about this issue. Should priority waste follow suit with equally deplorable service to ensure residents are not further taken advantage of?
Thank you, Steph. Is there anyone else, Landis?
There's more. The decision to contract GFL has already cost each resident hundreds of dollars this year in services that regularly go unrendered. Morris Concrete is resuming work in Getty's Ridge as of today. It would seem some of the board condoned using a company whose work yielded multiple complaints, subpar results, and has seemingly no oversight beyond Ms. Golden's efforts, which are much appreciated. No concrete company should be authorized to make additional sidewalk markings that they turn in would also be taxed with repairing. Yet that it was, they were authorized to do this year. Can I have that water? This is a conflict of interest. Likewise, no contractor should be gifted materials to complete a job where those items are not defined. Lastly, I would encourage the board to prioritize the walking path from Andover Drive past Arbor Woods and Bromley Park. Kids from lower income families are frequently seen walking on the road along Getty's to reach the library or South Point Scholars. Getty's is 50 miles per hour and is unsafe. This needs to be prioritized over recreational paths for the wealthier neighborhoods in the township. Thank you to Rhonda for reminding the board about this portion of the path. Likewise, there is a portion of road on Prospect that lacks a completed path from Berkshire Drive to Clark, where a woman was killed in a hit and run. Are there plans to extend this path? So such a path will connect residential areas to the only convenience store in walking distance. It would seem if this hasn't come, that's a lot, up already, that our planning commission is wildly out of touch with the needs of working class people.
Is that it, Landis, or? Okay. Bernie, you had a plea or petition or?
None.
Okay. All right, that completes plea or petition. Get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All in favor, just leave.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Oh.
Okay, just leave, huh? Okay.
Goodbye, Mr. Seacrest.
All right, Nancy, not too bad, right at 9:30. So you're done now. Oh, let me take my glasses off in order to see. Hi, how are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Good, nice to meet you.
Your office as treasurer and.
Nice to meet you. Very nice.
Which is in your endeavor.
Hi, Lynette.
You know, something that.
Thank you for your service to America.
Have a beverage, break bread. That's
You have a card? You have a card?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And this is the.
Oh, that's fine.
The campaign one.
Thank you. That's okay.
And,
That's okay.
I was gonna say,
That's okay.
the one that's a little bit after I retired.
Okay,
This is
that's
the-
okay.
this is the one that has the
Oh,
real stuff, so
Okay,
to
that's
speak.
okay.
where,
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Good
okay,
thing,
great.
Thanks for
Thank
getting.
you. Yeah.
Again, quite serious with the comment. I didn't, I should have said that my goal is now collaborate and with me.
Okay,
And,
all right, that's
that
okay.
can be
That's
considered
okay.
best.
That's right. All right.
So-
I appreciate you. Thank you. So very kind. All righty. And so- Okay.
Thank you for your- thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Rob. Yeah.